It's day 3 of the Botanical Challenge with my fun botanical book. So let's pick. Only rule is we can't do duplicates. Okay, what's this thing? A yew tree. Okay, look at that. I'm not even aware of what that is. So let's paint this together. I already have some red and greens from my old painting I did yesterday, so I'm going to save that, just re-wet them, and then maybe add one more color. So we are letting these paints get all activated, and then we will start painting. So if we take a look at this yew tree, I have 2 ways that I'm thinking of approaching. Either I start with the berries first, do the greenery in the background, or do the greenery in the background, and then do the berries. I think I'm gonna start with the berries and then do the green in the background. Otherwise, maybe I wanted to do masking fluid or something, but I think that is the right approach for this quick little exercise. Okay, so we're gonna start with our first layer. I just have permanent red, a little bit of organic vermilion, and I think we're good to go. So again, just like with all these challenges, I'm going to attempt to be relatively quick, not question myself, and work out the details on subsequent layers, so I'm not just overthinking and getting in my head. Overall structure of these berries, sorry, not structure, we know the structure is a circle, but more like how they're on this yew branch or whatever is more important to get an accurate representation now. And you can have some artist decision making to, be like, well, I want to make this come lower, I want to make this come higher. No one will know because they're not going to see your reference photo. But for me, I just want to stay true to this. Part of this practice is kind of painting what I see. And just as I say that, I'm taking some artistic license that isn't in the picture and adding some shadows on the bottom of the berries. So I just said I'm trying to be true to the picture, and then I go ahead and not do that, but that's fine. So yeah, see, I'm adding a little quin magenta on the bottom to show that these berries are stacked up, trying to show the layers and kind of which one is in front, which one is in back, based on that darker color. Still a little wet. I'm using Arch's hot press travel sketch journal. Sorry, did I say hot press? I meant cold press. We're doing cold press today. Okay. And it's as quick as that. We got the berries done. So everything's dry. I just looked a little bit about yew trees. These are, even though they look like berries, they're actually soft cones. And inside each of these soft cones is a single seed, which we'll paint in a minute. But before that, I need to paint this, it looks like a pine needle or something. And I want to practice a little bit the leaf shape. I mean, they literally, I got to press down a little bit, but that's what they look like. Pretty thin, so I got to use the tip. So I'm going to start like I do if I'm making like a stem with a lot of leaves. I want to start with like my anchor point. And for this, the anchor point meaning like the trunk or the branch or whatever. And it kind of comes down here and then comes out this side like that. That's basically it. Okay, and then I'm going to paint from light to dark. I'm just going to do some of these flicking movements. Okay. I'm going to transition to some green here already. The yellow is not doing it. Okay. And one of the things I want to make sure especially for this is make sure that these are going every which way, because in nature not everything is evenly spaced, and so you're going to get some of that randomness. Adding a little bit of blue here in the middle to show that darkness that I see kind of in some of these behind areas, I guess I'll call them. And this was the whole reason why you had to kind of make the decision, do I want to do the berries first or the leaves first? Because painting behind isn't necessarily any easier. You just need to make sure you're being careful. Okay. And these was, I mean, this is the majority of the painting. Literally, it's just two components, right? And so that makes it a relatively simple painting, meaning it's straightforward. There's not all these like details. But when something's simple, you have an opportunity to really kind of lean in to some aspects, focus on other aspects and play a little bit more. So that's why the color of these isn't exactly what I'm seeing in the picture, but that's a choice I'm making because I want to make it a little bit more visually interesting than I saw in the picture. I want there to be a lot more color, a lot more contrast. Because to be quite honest, I've never seen a yew tree, so I don't think someone's going to come up and be like, actually, there should have been 3 more leaves on the left-hand side. No one would do that. I mean, even if they saw a yew tree before. So rest assured, you get to do what you want to do with some of these. This is coming together. I really like this. This is fun. I thought this would be pretty simple. And as I'm digging into it more, it's not. You know, there's lots of details that I missed upon first look, and I just want to emphasize some of those. And you can see in some of these areas I'm just filling it in as full green rather than making all the flicks, because there's a lot of layers of leaves there, so you don't need to, again, like when we talked about at the tomato, it's a suggestion of what the viewer's looking at. It doesn't have to be realistic unless you are going for that hyper-realistic look, which that's not me. That's not the type of art I do. I'm more of an illustrative artist. These are looking really fun. See how I have all these colors in here? And it makes it a lot, I think, more interesting to look at than if I were to just choose one color. we get to see kind of how the light is playing in our heads with these needles or whatever they are. I don't know much about yew trees. Okay, so I think I'm gonna be done. Sometimes you have to also know when to stop, and then we'll come back and do the berries. So we're all dried up, and let me show you. So we're pretty close to kind of getting that yew tree going. All we need to do is further define these berries or cones, and then put the little black mark in. I'm going to use a smaller brush for this, I guess, seed area. I'm going to take a little bit of lamp black and a little bit of Payne's gray. Actually, I'm going to do like a cascade green instead. I'm after re-looking at these, that they're more of a green than a black, and they're kind of square. It's very strange looking. Okay. Yeah, not perfect circles at all. That one you can't see, this one you can. This one you can. And this one is just a little sliver. Okay. So with that, now I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna use a really small one here. This is a 3/0. I don't really know a lot about sizes, but this is a small one. Let's just call it the small guy. And we are going to further bring those shadows in. You might not be able to see it on the camera, but I just want to really define, like for example, I'm making this one a little darker because it's behind. I'm carving this one out because this one's in the front, and then making this kind of the behind one, and some shadows right there. This one looks like that. Okay. This is more where the tediousness comes in. And really, this step is optional. You don't have to do this because, like I've said multiple times, we're not doing realistic. However, I am taking this opportunity by doing this botanical challenge to challenge myself, hence the title. And challenging yourself means doing things you don't normally do or that are uncomfortable, in order to kind of explore what that would mean for you. And realism is very scary to me because it's like, then you're judged, like that doesn't look real. And so it's more of objective, I guess, judgment. That's why I try to stay away from it. But for these berries, I'm just going to try to lean into some of that artistry that I normally wouldn't do, just to see what I learn about shapes, what I learn about shadowing, what I learn about myself, and, you know, take that with me to the next project. So again, shadow, shadow, shadow. using a mix of the red that I used for the berries. Obviously, watercolor is highly layerable, so just by, even if I didn't have a different color, it kind of looks like it fades back in there when I use that. And then that Quin magenta to kind of push that back. Remember when we talked about depth? That darkness visually makes it look like it's behind the other. So that's why I'm kind of trying to do that. So you can see if something is darker, it looks like it's further back, and then lighter like this one, it looks like it's on top. So I'm just continuing to push that here. And depending on how much contrast you want, you can, keep going. I don't know how much more I'll do. Okay, so that's good. Now I'm gonna go back to this black and line around the edge of those seeds. Remember, I did green to begin with, and I'm just gonna put a layer right here to have the suggestion of a shadow. And then I think we will be done. TBD if I'm going to do more of these, because I have all this white space, and how cool would it be to make a couple more less defined ones. This can be like the primary one, and I can make a couple in the background just to practice this a little bit more. So when I'm done with this, I'll see if I want to make a little bit more, because this was pretty fun. So there you go.